Here we are back again with our very favorite order of operations with both negatives, and this time we're really going to get to those fractions, and this is part 2. So let's get started. First one, okay, we've got some fractions, we've got an exponent, we've got some multiplication, we've got some subtraction. One thing I'm going to point out, do you guys want to make life a little bit easier on yourselves? If you do, before you start any problem with fractions, just glance at the fractions that you see and see if you can simplify or reduce any of those fractions. So I'm just going to kind of do this with my pen. 2/3, well, no, that can't be reduced any. Ooh, check it out, 2/4. Yeah, 2/4 can be reduced because both numbers, 2 and 4, are both divisible by 2. So we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we see that 2/4 is the same as 1/2. Okay, let's check all of our other fractions. 7/12, nothing to do there. So the first thing I'm going to do before I even do anything with those order of operations is I'm going to rewrite the problem with simplified fractions. So I'm just rewriting. Okay, now we can't avoid our order of operations forever. Multiplication, exponent, subtraction, what happens first? Yeah, we've got to square that. And you're going, oh my gosh, I don't know how to square a fraction. Yeah, you do. If you know how to square something, and you do, you know how to square a fraction. What does it mean to square something? It means to take whatever you're squaring and multiply it times itself twice. And you know how to multiply 1/2 times 1/2, we would get 1/4, so 1/2 squared is 1/4. Notice, by the way, that 1 squared is 1 and 2 squared is 4, so I like the looks of that. So we have 2/3 times, let's keep that in parentheses, 1/4 minus 7/12. Oh, this is going to be very easy. When we do that, we're ready to multiply now. That would be the next step. Can we cancel anything? Remember, I like the easy steps, so we would have, let's use gray to cancel, and let's do it over here on the side. 2/3 times 1/4, you can, I'm going to do it 2 ways. You can just say, okay, any number upstairs with any number downstairs, these are both divisible by 2, so if we divide both of those by 2, we would get 1 and 2, and we would end up with 1/6. Another way, remember for this before, using prime factorization. So, let's get black again. 2 and 3 are both prime, so there's nothing more to do there. 1 is, well, there's nothing more to do with 1. And 4 is 2 times 2. So the only thing we were able to factor is that 4. So now we can clearly see the 2 and the 2 will cancel, and either way we're going to get 1/6. Okay, so after all of that, let me go back to my black pen. 1/6 minus 7/12. Okay, do you remember? What do we have to have if we're going to add or subtract fractions? We have to have common denominator, so I'm going to need some space over here. Let's get rid of my sideboard. So can you just look at those and see what the common denominator would be? Yeah, I suspect you can. The common denominator would be 12. Okay. Do we have to do anything with that second fraction? No, its denominator is already 12. So we don't have to change the denominator, we don't have to change the numerator, that stays the same. The first fraction, we had to change the denominator by multiplying by 2. So that tells us what we have to do to the numerator. We have to multiply that by 2, and we get that. And now, I need some more space. We are ready. We're going to get 12s. 2 minus 7 is a -5. And the last thing always, can we simplify that? Nope, because there's nothing that goes into both 5 and 12. Okay, let's keep going here. Ooh, let's use that same trick. Do you see any fractions that can be simplified? Okay, the only ones that I see are, well, 3 out of the 4. So I'm going to do that first because I'm lazy, as all mathematicians are. Negative 1/2 times a negative 1/5 minus a negative 3/8, the only guy that can stay, minus 1/2. Okay, we've got multiplication and we've got division. Let's do that multiplication first. We would get, what's a negative times a negative? Is a positive 1, and downstairs we're going to get 10 minus, we've got division. So what do we do when we have division? Let's use our sideboard. Negative 3/8 divided by 1/2, negative 3/8 times 2/1. And I'm going to do it the second way to simplify that. We would get negative 3/2 times 2 times 2. And then the second one, there's nothing more to do there, and we can see we can cancel this 2 and this 2 by dividing top and bottom by 2. So what do we have? We have altogether negative 3/4. Common denominator, can you see what it is? I'm just going to get there and say that the common denominator would be 20, multiply by 2, multiply by 5. So we've got, I know that our denominator is going to stay 20. So we've got 2 minus a negative 5, 2 minus a negative 5. Change that subtraction to addition, change the sign that follows, and you would end up with 7/20. And I think we're finished because there's nothing more we can do to reduce that. Okay, we've got 3 minutes. Let's try it. Okay, one thing I notice, see this right down here, 1 4/5? Well, everything has to be a fraction if we're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. It's just much easier. You have to have it for multiplication and division. And since that's what we've got, do you remember how to change that to a so-called improper fraction? The denominator stays the same, and to get the numerator, it's the 5 times 1 plus 4. We would get 9/5. So far we've got 3/4 plus 3 squared minus 1/4 divided by 9/5. Exponent 3/4 plus 9 minus 1/4 times 5/9. I did two things at once. I hope that's okay with you guys. So now we've got to do this. 3/4 plus 9 minus, when we multiply, nothing cancels. I'm going to assume you can see that. We would get 5/36. We need a common denominator. And I'm going, but hey, 9 doesn't even have a denominator. But you know you can take any whole number and turn it into a fraction by just throwing that number over 1. So we've got 3/4 plus 9/1 minus 5/36. Do you see the common denominator? Okay, if not, I'm going to say I'm just going to do that for you here. But I'm assuming you remember how to find common denominators. So our common denominator would be 36. Okay, so we're going to have a big number here. We've got 27. Okay, we multiplied 1 by 36 to get 36. We've got to multiply 9 by 36, and you're going to have to let me do that over here. Whoops, I don't mean that. 4, 5, 27, 32, big number, 324, and then we've got this. If you prefer, plus, minus, plus, minus. So let's see what we've got here. We've got 27/36 plus a negative 329/36. Okay, so I just combined, I like to combine numbers that have the same sign. And I think we're ready to finally go there. 27 plus a negative 329, the signs are different, so we find the difference. The difference between those two numbers is 302, and the sign that goes with it is negative. Okay, I think we've got some simplification to do here. Oh, and I've got 20 seconds. I know both of those will be divisible by 2, so if you just allow me, divide this by 2, we would get 151. Divide 36 by 2, you would get 18. And I'm just going to tell you, 151 is not divisible by 2, it's not divisible by 3, and that's the duck telling me that the time is up, so I'm going to say 151 over 18. Okay,